Perfect Turd Podcast, episode 134, Lamar, Death Hunt. Not to be confused with the old Death Hunt with Charles Bronson.
I think there's another Death Hunt too.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's a very generic name, whatever. But anyway, Joe, we talk about human prey movies, off screen a lot. One of my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, Hard Target. One of my favorite human. What is yours?
The Game is a
Surviving
good one.
the Game with Ice-T, yes. And I think there's a lure where you're hunting humans, like they're the best prey and all this kind of stuff. And so the person being hunted has to do unique things to survive against other humans. Then we watch this movie, Joe. It's small things that bothered me about this one. It's like, I don't know. It has the foundation, but the building, it doesn't stand sturdy for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was just releasing this week.
Uncorked.
So that's good. All right. So let's break it down with our categories and we'll see what we rate it. So first of all, the story.
Okay. This is my first problem. Okay. The story is about this guy. Well, it starts off, introducing like someone as a young boy hunting, an older man. Well, was he an older man or just the regular guy? Then it jumps to this guy. He's some kind of businessman. He's breaking into this town. Seems like a small town, taking the land. But at the same time, he decides to bring, what's the PC term for side chick, Joe? Mistress?
His mistress.
His mistress. Brings his mistress.
Kumad is what we say.
Kumad, is that Brazilian or Italian?
That's Italian.
It's Italian. Okay, Kumad. He brings her out there for some reason, and they run into the wrong people. The sheriff and some of his old buddies. They do this. Is it every year or whenever they get a chance? They hunt people in the woods on this island,
and they're like framed kind of like right-wing extremist a little bit or something, right?
Yes, I'm gonna get to that.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. And that's the movie. That's them as a couple for a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. Just 3 guys hunting these 2 people.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give it a half a point for story because there was a story there. Yes. Whether or not they executed the story well is a different story. So
we're gonna get into our other categories.
So I'll give
do
it a half.
This. Okay, I'll give it a half.
Okay.
Because like I said, there's a foundation. It's just not sturdy, that building. Because what's our next one, Joe?
As we move forward, cracking this nut open, we get into the human prey. So I guess the heroes of the film, the construction guy and his side piece there.
Kumad. I don't even know if I'm saying that in the right accent. Kumad. They were just boring to me. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I agree. And the bigger problem that I have with these 2 characters is that they are set up to be completely unsympathetic characters. He's kind of like the rich guy, real estate guy, and she's just like this woman that's like, who introduced us was your wife. Like, she's completely like,
it's like,
so neither one of you're kind of like, well, both of them are kind of scoundrels. So like, do I really care that they're gonna get hunted? Not really. So in this category, I give it a 0.
I agree. When I was watching this, I was like, oh, so this dude is just he was, like you said, just some rich construction guy with his flip phone. By the way.
Well, it took place in the 90s.
It took place in the 90s. That still threw me off. I was like, why does he have a flip phone? But anyway, if he was more like, he was away from his family, he's like trying to make this deal and then he gets into trouble. Or maybe, he was with his wife. Then it would have been more sympathetic, but then I'm just like, oh, so this dude is cheating on his wife and she's like making jokes about it.
Yeah. Because then, by the end of it, where she turns more heroic and she's fighting back, it's even still, it's like, yeah, but I didn't like you to begin with. I didn't want you.
If you weren't sleeping with another man's husband, you wouldn't be in this position.
So, all right, well, who was hunting them, Lamar, is our next category. The hunters themselves, the villains.
I feel like these guys were just dopey. Like there was nothing to them. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to hard target, even though, like, okay, you have like Arnold Vosloo and Lance Henriksen. They like Lance Henriksen, like he was very prim and proper, and Vosloo was like the deadly South African hunter. And then even the henchmen that they got later, they each had like different things. Like one had a big old gun, another one had like a crossbow. Mm-hmm. They were interesting. These guys are just like hey, so we just hunt.
Yeah,
hunt humans, something we do.
I agree. Yeah, well, kind of. So, what are you rating it?
I'm giving it a 0. I was 0 just like, for man, hunters. These guys just blah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give it a half a point, and the reason why is because they did make a foundation for the one character. Like they showed him as a kid, like his father was forcing him to hunt people and stuff, and that's what molded him into this thing, and that came into play at the end. A little bit. I guess we won't spoil the end, but his backstory triggered him to know something, and that played a part in the end. So for the simple fact that they did set up a backstory and stuff, I'll give it a half. That this has been going on over generations,
Yeah.
Half point. Yeah. What about kills?
See, that's another thing. I think that she did turn around, but it's just like, not, I guess we are kind of spoiling. She just shoots everybody. It's like, in these movies, it's always like a trap where like they have to do something cunning, or they use something to their advantage that they didn't know was an advantage before. With her, it's just like, I'm just going to put this here and shoot him. It's like,
true.
Nah, there was some cool kills. There was some explosions. I'll give it a half a point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I too am gonna give it a half a point, and the reason why is, in a lot of recent B movies, we've seen the digital blood squib thing.
Yeah.
In this movie, they actually used like real squibs. It seemed. And actually, it seemed like they did some real explosions and stuff. So I did like that they put in some effort into this to do it practical. So I'm going to give them a half point. That was okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last category. What is it?
Turning the tide. See, once again, I kept on thinking, well, you wouldn't be in this position if you weren't sleeping with somebody else's husband. Lady. So that's why I'll give it a half a point, because it was like, okay, she gets some fight in her, but it's not enough where it's like, oh man. You know what this movie needed? It needed the girl from Black Hollow.
Yeah.
That's what this movie needed. Like she went back, like in Black Hollow, she went back to her martial arts skills. That's what this movie needed. She needed something like more of a backstory, other than, being a Kumad and just out of nowhere, just shooting everybody. Like, it's like, okay, I'll give you half a point for me. Yeah.
I agree. Half a point for me as well. Same reason. I just didn't, you just don't care about the character, because she's like, well, she's kind of, she's not the best person,
No.
Neither one of the two heroes or whatever, they weren't the best of people. So I just never was sympathetic. So when she finally did turn the tables on them, it was just kind of like,
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt. Okay, you did it. Good for you. Like,
yeah. There was a better way to handle those characters. Or you could have still made the other guy kind of like the mogul, asshole, real estate mogul guy, but made her like more of a she's thrust into this situation that she doesn't want to, be in or something. But, making them both unsavory from the get-go was the big mistake of the whole movie. Well, Lamar, we've totaled the score.
Yes.
And then we averaged it out to a perfect Turd podcast score of 1.75.
So just little things they could have done. I think you said some things like, that it would have set up the character. I feel like there were some things that make the characters more sympathetic.
Yeah, they had a foundation.
Yeah.
If you would have cared about the characters more, this would have been a way better movie.
Yes. So, exactly. Yeah.
Does that wrap it up?
Yeah. This movie, don't sleep with married men and don't cheat on your wife. That's don't be a kumad. Yeah. That's my new word that you have given me. Don't be a kumad.
There you go.
Or gentlemen, if that's switched.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a word for them.
I don't know, but either way, because we're not biased. Don't partake in that stuff.
Good lesson. Well, we learned a lesson. Maybe we should give it an extra point. Should round it to 2.
Let's round it to 2. The lesson is do not, respect other people's marriages. Don't step out on your marriage.
There you go.
It's a 2. Yeah.
All right. Death Hunt. Peace.
Deuces.